true.
It's not
in
true.
fact, in my specialty in medicine, technology, the use of electronic medical records, it's been shown that it's actually made us less productive. Patients hate it, doctors hate it.
Can we talk a bit about the next generation? I mean, it's also what we did last podcast. We addressed the parents, and this podcast is slightly different, but I want to again address the parents and even young kids. I mean, teenagers, they can understand that. I'm going to translate this podcast, so it's quite easy to understand. Nowadays, more children have more diseases and more unexplained symptoms.
Yeah, this is also very easy to understand, but it takes that you have to understand some basic symbology. Number one, you get your mitochondria only from your mother, not from your father. So the key is mothers pass the redox potential to children down. We've already decided that now humans live in a redox poor environment, so that means they're going to be much more affected. The real problem when it comes to technology, when you go from 1G, 2G, 3G to 5G, is the power density issue. But here's where it plays a role. The power density knocks the redox potential down over time. So this means that children, remember, their brains are not fully developed. This is the reason why when the baby comes out the vagina, the baby can't talk, the baby can't walk, because the brain is not myelinated. It takes in humans 25 to 27 years for this to occur. Well, what people don't realize about non-native EMF, meaning the power density, that children's brains are much more sensitive to the light rays that we use to communicate than an adult is. So when you think about having babies, there's no way for a woman to have a baby that's 27 years old when it comes out of its vagina. So the reason why children are getting more affected is because we've changed the environment, that now it's normal for a mother to hand an iPhone to a kid to play a game so it doesn't cry when she's shopping. And she has no idea what she just did. And the reason why is because she's ignorant of mitochondrial biology, and the father is ignorant of exactly what Apple does. And this is the reason why I tell people all the time, Steve Jobs and Bill Gates knew, because they wouldn't let their kids use their own technology. So that should tell you something. And, you know, it also turns out that's the reason why Steve Jobs died. You know, they call, a laptop in the United States a laptop. Why? Because he used to put it on his lap. Where he used to put his iPhone, if you look at his Levi jeans that he was famous for wearing, he always had a worn out pocket in the back. Well, it turns out that's where your pancreas is. It's in a place called the retroperitoneal space. So he was radiating himself from the front and from the back with a bidirectional microwave device for about 45 years of his life. And he died of pancreatic cancer. This should surprise no one.
Wow, I didn't know he died from that cancer. I knew it was cancer, but I didn't know it was... Right, so all of you out there who put their phones in their pockets, get a life. So basically, in order to protect the kids, the next generation, it's to be aware of the non-native EMF, use protection against blue light, and be aware of the mitochondrial diseases. And actually, it leads me to the next question. I mean, it's something you use quite a lot, the detox versus redox. I mean, you're saying do the redox before you do the detox. Can you...
It goes back to my point that I made to you earlier about Stephanie Seneff. Remember, Stephanie is just a PhD researcher. She doesn't treat anybody, but she happens to work with functional medicine doctors that sell people things about detox first. Well, if you live in an environment that's sucking energy out of you, why in the hell would you ever want to pay somebody to detox that? The only detox is turn the power grid off in your house. So the key is you have to disconnect from technology and then reconnect with the EMF that you're designed to work with. What is that? That's the sun. And that's the earth. And this is all you have to do. That's what builds your redox up. The connection to nature is all it takes. See, the hippo and the lion, they don't need to know quantum mechanics
Sure.
or quantum electrodynamic theory. Why? Because they don't have a quantum computer in their brain that breaks all of nature's laws. Only we do. A wild animal, they know exactly what to do, because guess what? You don't need to know this. But the reason why the idiots listening to this need to know is because they don't realize their wants, their needs, their desires, the TV, the internet, what other kids have. This is what's driving you to your demise.
Yeah. So
each person listening to this
yeah.
to make their own decision. Put your cell phone on airplane mode. Look, most people who are over 50 years old remember the days where we didn't have cell phones. Life still went on. If somebody didn't call you at 12:04 in the afternoon, or you didn't have to check your email.
Absolutely.
You don't check Facebook. But guess what? People today listening to this, they've never lived a life like this, my friend.
Yeah.
I remember what it was like. And you know what? It was actually way simpler then. Do I think going back to that kind of life these days is doable? I think it's doable, but the problem is it won't work unless the majority of people do it. That's the reason why I'm trying to tell you that the key to fixing this problem is getting the information out to people. In other words, if you want me, fine, I'll turn my phone on at a certain time, then I'll talk to you. But to keep it on constantly as you walk around, because God forbid you miss your mother's call about picking up a dozen eggs, while you're at work. Who cares?
So what? Yeah. I tell my audience, if you're not the head of CIA or the Prime Minister of Israel, don't sleep with your phone next to your head. I mean, what's the problem, man? Like we did a few years back, like when we grew up, there was no phone next to our head. There was only one phone in the living room if we were lucky, and that's it. And I'm not saying let's go back to this time, but I'm saying protect your brain, protect your blood barrier, protect your mitochondria, protect your body and your children.
Well, people don't realize though that the things that are around us right now are the things hurting us. That's the real problem.
Yeah.
I mean, when I grew up in New York City in the 1970s, no one except the wealthy people had a microwave oven. Today, the microwave oven is probably the most utilized machine within a kitchen in the United States. And people have absolutely no idea how it works, what it does, and how it affects them. But you have to realize, in 1977, nobody but the richest people on Fifth Avenue had a microwave oven.
Yeah.
And this is not that long ago. But if you look back in 1977, autism was 1 in 100,000. Today it's 1 in 47.
And I tell you one more thing. Nobody except the manufacturers of the microwave ovens knew about the risks of microwave.
No, that's not true. There was lots of people that knew about the risk, but you know what the problem was? It's the same problem that's going on right now. Nobody understood the key parts of biology. Like, in other words, no one understood mitochondrial medicine back then. Right. Mitochondrial medicine is only 40 years old. We're talking about 50 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, there was a disconnect there. That played to the corporation's benefit. Not only that, not too many people, lay people, understand basic physics, like the inverse square law. The best way to describe it to a regular person is they know standing close to an x-ray machine and standing further away, that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
That's about their knowledge.
Yes.
An x-ray machine. But people don't realize that 5G is a synonym for x-rays. It really is. The power density is different between the two. X-rays will kill you way faster than 5G will. But what people don't realize, 5G is now everywhere in the world. See, x-ray machines are only in the hospital, the doctor's office.
Yes.
But now 5G is everywhere. And because it's 24/7, the risks of 5G, in my opinion, much higher than x-rays. It's not even close.
Yeah.
Because of the inverse square law. And until we get people to understand the basics, then change won't happen. Because guess what change is going to be? Change is going to be on an N = 1 basis. People listening to this are going to say, I need to change my footprint of EMF around my environment, and this will help the immediate people around me. You're not going to get all the state of Israel or the entire United States to change this. Why? We already know. The United States, our economy is based on technology.
Yeah.
But here's the interesting thing. The way in which we use that technology can be significantly modified and mitigated to reduce the risk. Right now, that's part of the things that I've been teaching people for 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
They're listening more to me now than they did 5, 7, 10 years ago. Why? Because back then we were at 2G. Now we're 4G getting ready to 5G.
5, yeah.
And now it's very obvious something is radically wrong in the big cities of the United States, and people are beginning to wake up to it. To be as smart as the doctor, because you're going to start to realize that mitochondrial genome pays attention to things in your environment, not inside you. The mitochondrial genome turns on the nuclear genome when the energy gets low. And that's kind of what we've been talking about this whole time. So, in my opinion, the sicker people get and they go to the doctor and the doctor can't help, that's when they're going to start to say, okay, if they can't help me, I need to start to help myself. That's when podcasts like this, that's when the things that I've written on my website are going to be very important for people. People are going to be pounding down the door, at that time.
I totally agree, by the way. Totally agree.
and when that happens, to be quite frank with you, I'm probably not going to be the one that's going to be dealing with all these people. That's the reason why I write all these blog posts that people complain is very hard to read now. Someday it won't be very hard.
Yeah.
Someday they're going to say, man, I wish I would have planned for this. It goes back to what I just said to you before about disasters in humans. We don't act until we're on the precipice of danger.
Yeah.
And podcasts like this are trying to warn people that they are headed to a big problem. But when they get to that problem, they are going to need to fix themselves, because the experts that you have usurped your power to are absolutely impotent to help this problem, because their focus is in the wrong place.
Yes.
So I think people will help themselves. We just have to give them the tools to do that. And I think that's one of the benefits of the internet. That, believe it or not, the internet can teach people